Let's make sure I have everybody in. Hello. Welcome to the final sessions of the day. And today we're going to be welcoming Maria Angel. She is with Columbus City Schools, and she's going to talk about opportunities and access within the job training program. So let me share a little bit of great information about Maria. So, Maria has worked extensively with individuals with disabilities for over 20 years in her role as an intervention specialist with Columbus City Schools and currently serves as a special education transition coordinator at Fort Hays Career Center. Maria helps families and students with autism and other developmental disabilities with post-secondary planning while coordinating the district's community job training program at Grant and Riverside Hospitals, CCS Food Production Center, Life Care Alliance, CCS district offices at 3700, and Project Search at the Hilton Easton. These programs help provide students with exceptionalities the opportunity to experience and gain valuable work-related skills in a community setting. And so I want to share a little bit more about Maria as well. She also helps provide educational support and guidance in the area of autism awareness to staff, teachers, and administration, as well as provides presentations about understanding autism to district personnel and community members. And finally, probably the best part, is that Maria is a member of several parent and family advocacy councils within the community and a passionate advocate for individuals with autism and other developmental disabilities. She is the proud parent of two boys diagnosed with autism, Max at age 21 and Casey age 18, which provide her a unique perspective and relationship with families and individuals with autism. She shares her stories and educational and healthcare challenges for Max and Casey in the hopes that it helps others learn, care, and be more autism aware. So today I am greatly appreciative and welcome Marie Angel. All
Hi,
right.
everyone. Yep. Can I go now? Oh, okay.
You certainly can. You can go ahead and start sharing.
All right. Let's see. Share my screen. Give me a minute. Let me find I got to pull it up here. Let's see.
Okay.
Sorry for that's our bell. I almost had a late bus, which is a barrier. So I will be talking a little bit about that too. Okay, now I just need to do slideshow. So again, thank you for that really warm and wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm here to help. Again, I love trying to help others kind of find their way, whether it's talking about autism or children or individuals with disabilities or exceptionalities. Here, I'm talking about our community job training programs in Columbus City Schools. I'm really proud of kind of the work that we've done over the years to kind of get these programs ready and work ready and making sure we have the right connections to the community members and that we're providing all we can do and those best supports for our students with different disabilities who need that a little bit more intensive job training before they hit the real world or sometimes before they graduate. Sometimes they need a little bit more time. So again, it's my pleasure to be here. I kind of again, sometimes in our world, with transition, we kind of go between two different departments, and that's the case for me. We're the largest district in the state of Ohio. So we have these amazing community and job training programs that really come under the umbrella. We work with students with exceptionality. So that's our Office of Extended and Accelerated Learning, because we have to be different in our titles. It's not special education. We're under the umbrella of extended and accelerated learning, but then we also cross section, we have this sort of intersection with the Office of Career Technical Education. So I'm kind of balancing the requirements of career technical education as well as, working with and following our operating standards and all of the, ODE guidance and our state support team folks. You guys are amazing. So we often, again, I say, if you look at that picture, that's kind of what the road looks like. Sometimes, I'm trying to do this over here with under career tech, but I'm also under here with my department in special education. So it can be a little bit of a balance, those two worlds, and trying to find the kind of way we move forward, but it's all for our students. And so that's what I'm here to talk about today. And hopefully maybe you can take some of what I will tips and strategies, and maybe have any community programming that you are all doing or you would like to do. So this is kind of what we kind of came up with, our own sort of vision and mission within our programs, and this, because we're such a wonderful little team, and we're a little hidden gem that a lot of folks, we have these job training programs. Yes, we do. And so we are this little great community of instructors, and we come again, everybody comes from the world of being an intervention specialist, getting their TTW, and then coming over to career tech to run these programs. So our vision is to help we want to build a community of learners where students have the opportunity, access, and supports the supports needed to reach their greatest potential. And yet our mission is helping students learn the skills necessary to lead productive and independent lives after graduation. And you see there the students, Mr. Clarkson, he kind of nominated our motto, and he always has everywhere: work hard, stay positive. And that really can take care of itself, right? Like all we want as students, and all we want is to help students work hard, but stay positive, even when things aren't going their way, or if they need supports or having a bad morning. How do they adjust themselves, their behavior, to fit the work site? So we really are all about, again, working with the students' individual needs that day and those moments when they may need some extra supports on a job site. So hopefully this will work. Sometimes my volume hasn't been working, but these give you, I just admitted a new person, Ms. Young Willingham. So these are the nice videos that our career tech department did for 3 of our programs. So I just think they're very short, but if we can get them to work, I think you might enjoy. Can you guys see where I'm at? Can you see the picture of the young man? Okay. I'm gonna push play. Can you hear it? You can't hear it?
I can't hear it. No. If you go back to the share screen button at the bottom and you re-click it, and there should be like 2 tabs that say optimize for video. That might be okay.
You said advanced sharing?
Um,
Sorry,
no, I think if you just click the green share screen, that box up about what screen you want to share, and there should be 2 boxes on the right that say like optimize for sound and share sound or something like that.
Okay, hold on. I mean, I'm gonna try it because last week I gave up, and so if you guys bear with me. I'm sorry, what did you say again for the
All right, click share screen.
Oh, optimize for video clip. Hit that button.
Yep.
Okay.
That should.
Got it. Oh, there it is. That's what it is. Okay. Now let's try it again. I'm going to click. As well as surrounding grounds. Students learn. Environmental Services is a 1-year career technical program designed to provide entry-level skills in the care of maintenance of residential and commercial buildings, as well as surrounding grounds. Students learn to operate commercial equipment utilized in the maintenance of interiors and exteriors. Students also learn landscape maintenance, floor buffing and polishing, as well as employability skills. This program lays the groundwork for a future in custodial management or entrepreneurial ventures. Students will earn 120 internship hours and 2.5 credits upon successful completion of the program. So that is our environmental services program. And then I'm going to go back. Let's see. Grant. Thank you for that. You just saved me. Now I know from now on. So I appreciate your help. Thank you. This is for Grant Hospital.
The Grant Occupational Skills Program is a one-year job training program on site at Grant Medical Center. Students perform various hospital and office duties with mentoring from employees of Ohio Health and Grant Hospital. Class instruction includes some reading and writing in a work setting, communication experiences, work stamina, employability skills, leadership development, and team building. Students will receive 120 internship hours as well as 2.5 credits upon successful completion of the program.
And then the last one, this is for our Riverside program.
The Riverside Community Service Program is a one-year job training program on site at Riverside Methodist Hospital. Students perform various hospital and office duties with mentoring from employees of Ohio Health and Riverside. Class instruction includes some reading and writing in a work setting, communication experiences, work stamina, employability skills, leadership development, and team building. Students will receive 120 internship hours and 2.5 credits upon successful completion of the program.
So thank you. Thank you for showing me how to do that, because now I know for future applications. So thank you. That was just, we have them. There's some information in there already. We got videos. I finally, after years and years of like, everybody else is getting videos made for their career programs. And it was like, well, we're under career tech. Why aren't we included? So I finally got them to make us videos, but then they ran out of money. And so the other two programs, we didn't get videos made. It's already some information that's wrong. They get 3 credits now. And we, instead of 120 internship hours, they're getting 2 hours per day that they're with us. And they get work-based learning hours, which also turns into their internship hours. That's a Columbus City Schools requirement. That is part of, they need 120 internship hours to graduate, and that gives them 1 credit for their graduation needs, and for their 23, have 23 credits total that they would need. So these programs provide that opportunity, but now we've kind of turned them and flipped them to, again, work-based learning, et cetera. And I'll go into some more of that in a little bit. So as you heard, and you guys can see my screen okay, right? Because I can't see you, so I can't tell. Everybody's okay. So environmental services at our program, like you said, is our district offices at 3700, and it has its complete focus of custodial services. So they're really looking at working in a business setting and focusing on what does it take for a custodian to run that site. And they are really, they're very instrumental in helping our district offices, stay the way they need to stay. It was a very interesting process. We used to be located in a Goodwill building, actually, but they shut the building down and they moved to different community sites. So we were sort of kicked out of Goodwill. And they had a really strong custodial focus here in Central Ohio. So we had to pivot mid-year around March of 2022 to move to what we were going to do. And someone had the suggestion of going to our district offices. And at first part of me was like, that's not really, we like to be embedded in the community, but I have to say, it's worked really, really well because it's district offices. So there's lots of things, it's a business. And so if you were at any big business site that has custodial staff, they're learning that same thing, how to, keep voices low, when they're traveling. There's lots of different meeting spaces. The building can be packed throughout the day because of, again, it's our district offices. Everybody from occupational therapy to early childhood, they use 3700, this location, to run meetings, departmental meetings, and so on. So those students really learn how to navigate in a real world business-like setting. And there's only one custodian that's there, and that's just during the day. So our students really are impacting him and what he needs and how we help them. So it's really turned out a lot more positive than I was anticipating. So, and then we have our two amazing, you saw Grant Medical Center and Riverside Methodist Hospital, that's under our Ohio Health umbrella. And they're going to get lots of different experiences, food prep. They're stocking, as you saw in one of the videos, they're stocking sodas. There's some office and clerical work. There's some cleaning in the environmental services area. That's mainly at the Grant Hospital, and both settings have mailroom, and our students really love the mailroom. I don't know why. I don't think they love the machinery, I think. And then sometimes some of our students who may have a little bit more independence, they are able to learn a route and deliver mail to different departments throughout the hospital. And so that's really exciting. And again, we have a really great partnership with Ohio Health, and it's been really great for our kiddos. And then our own, again, I would say our starter programs, the two that didn't get their videos made, it's our Columbus City Schools Food Production Center. So I'm sure where you all are from, there's the school district has its food production area where school meals are being made. Well, that's where they are. And so they're doing, again, these are really instrumental. I tell them these aren't, I know like a lot of folks say our students may get fluff jobs or fluff work or work that's not as meaningful, but the value that they provide to this district is amazing. And so, I mean, they're all those lunches on the line, they're assisting those lunch ladies, and they love and adore our students. And so that kind of partnership and that sort of meaningful relationships in a real world work setting is what is, I think, one of the most amazing aspects of what we do, because it's that general, that mentoring that we get from, individuals without disabilities. And so I think that that's really important for our, to help with our training, is that they're, how to behave and how to kind of have those conversations. And everybody is so wonderful with what we're doing and how we impact what they do. The lunch latchkey, we do all the latchkey across the entire district of snacks. And, make sure everybody, whatever it is that are supporting, or whatever the district is doing to support latchkey, breakfast, lunch, we are assisting in that process. And then in the afternoon, the program is Life Care Alliance. And I don't know if Life Care might be statewide. It's our Meals on Wheels program. So they do all of the Meals on Wheels packaging so it's basic food preparation. And I would say those are our starter programs for any of our students that might have higher needs, because the areas that they're working in is more of a contained, like one area. So, and they're doing tasks that might be just 1 or 2 steps. So running the bread machine, just catching the bread as it's put through the machine and filling it in boxes, adding cheese to, as they're prepping the trays for the Meals on Wheels. Those 2 programs kind of have the basic job task skills. So if a student is just entry level or may have some higher needs, we'll start them off in one of those 2 programs. And again, we know with predicting the Ohio Longitudinal Transition Study in 2011, that stated 37% increase of employment outcomes. Just 2022, for the Ohio Longitudinal Transition Study, we saw that post-school competitive employment, you're going to have better gains when they've been in career technical education, when they have goal setting opportunities, when they're working in an inclusive setting, when they get those paid work experiences, and sometimes non-paid, because ours are not paid, which they often, I know it doesn't translate very well when they're still in school. But I say you're getting paid in your experience, which doesn't go well, because if I was told that at 15, 16, I'd be like, yeah, nice try. Parental expectations, we're working on that self-advocacy and self-determination, all that student support. These are like work study programs, and then helping them make the best decisions while they're with us. And just so everybody knows, I'm a very informal speaker. I don't know if you can tell that, but so if anybody has questions, either put it up in the chat, or you're free to interrupt me and, just ask a question while you're thinking of it. That won't bother me at all. All right. So, again, I'm just going to go through quickly that this is a little bit more detail of our food production center. You see the line, you see the food prep line that some of our students work. And then they do some light clerical, but it's mostly at these 2 programs, the entry level of where our students are working, and they're really focusing on making those Meals on Wheels. This is our 3700 South High Street, the focus on custodial services. As you can see to the right of the screen, Ms. Wilson, our fabulous instructor, she just brought in, they're doing now the buffer, and the buffer we had, the old buffer we had was a stand buffer. And now, but the kind that Columbus City Schools uses is the writing buffer. And so that's gotten a lot of, that's been a very big successful skill acquisition, having our students learn to, drive the, after some practice. And there's the Mr. Blankenship, there's our custodian there on the right, who's, teaching one of the students what buttons to push, not to push. And so it's very exciting. This is on the left of the screen, this was our first day we were on site, and I was giving the students a tour. Our teacher was out on emergency leave. And this is our superintendent. And so, when you see as big a district as we are, you see the superintendent walking, it's like, well, hello. So I introduced the students and everything, who they are and what the program is. And she just really loved, oh, let's take a selfie. And one of the little girls was like, do you have Instagram? And it was just a really cute exchange. And one of the young men there in the morning, when we finally got back, and it was a bunch of, fun talking to the superintendent and how cool it was, we got back to the classroom and he said, I have never met anybody famous before. And I thought that was so endearing because, to us, a superintendent is sort of famous in our community. So I thought that was really cute. The big boardroom where you saw the students in the video cleaning, that's our boardroom. And that's where they do when we're doing big professional development days, that's where people sit. So it's a big task that they have to keep that building clean. And we were also I was very proud. This is a student that I worked really hard with there in the bottom. He came through our program, did 2 years of environmental services. Then we did an additional year of career tech programming through the masonry and bricklaying program because he wanted to add some different skills. And we were actually able to get him a job with Columbus City Schools as a custodian. It was a little bit too much for him. There's no part-time options, so that and he's got a lot of barriers, he's raising himself. He was kind of couch surfing, trying to find an appropriate living situation. So there were a lot of different barriers that prevented him. I think that kind of sort of usurped the employment piece. He was trying to find stability first, and now he's got a job at a different location. But we're really working hard with our district to hire our kids because, they can do great things. So it's just that going from part-time to full-time employment, and I'll talk a little bit about that as a barrier. And again, this is our grant in Ohio Health and Riverside programming. We operate, and I'll go into the logistics a little bit, but there's a morning program and an afternoon program. We try to stick to morning as our juniors, and then our seniors or second years are in the afternoon. It doesn't always work that way, but we try to stick to that kind of scheduling. Everyone has a sort of classroom area where they work at, or they kind of do some skill-based training, like soft skill training at some point. And then they go into the hospital and work, or they will have academic days that they focus on some of those soft skills that we know all of our students need lots of repetition and practice. So here's the logistics for us in Columbus City Schools. Students will enroll either during their junior year or senior year. And it's through, again, these programs are through Career Technical Education. They are through our CTE department. Again, we bridge the, special education and career tech, but they are housed as career tech students. So programs are 1 year. So they learn their 1 year, and then they can move to a new program. So everything is kind of fluid. If you are in environmental your junior year, you may go in to apply to the grant program. And you, again, because they're kind of concentrators or 2-year programs. So a student will have an automatic entry to another 1-year program for their senior year. And they may, what I love seeing, and I worked really hard to kind of do this, is to kind of build upon the skills that they learn their first year and then take that to another level the second year, whether that's going through the environmental program their junior year, and then you know, taking those skills to see if they can generalize in a different setting, like at a hospital. Riverside they haven't been able to connect with environmental services there. It's a little more difficult. But we have environmental services connection at Grant. So students, there are some that are just obsessed. They love to clean. And so we try to get them to try something different. Some students want to return to the program. Before I was here and helped coordinate the programs, it was always a hard no, but I understand a lot of our students on the spectrum or students who might need similar, having that person that they know and that safety net is important to them. So again, whatever the team decides is a team decision is kind of how I look at it and what's best for that student moving forward. Again, programs are 1 year and they have an automatic acceptance to the second year, but I have juniors that may be waitlisted for their first year, and then they will have a priority to get in. So they have the opportunity for a program. Our hospital programs can be pretty intensive. And this is also kind of a barrier that I'll talk about. Hospital programs it requires a lot. There's a big health assessment, paperwork that our parents have to fill out. We have to get shot records. There's the TB test and a flu vaccination. And the TB test is not like just, oh, TB test, do you have a thing? And then you can start. No, it's like a 2-step. So you either do a blood draw, which is a 1-step, or you have to do the old where they stick and they do the little bubble. And then that comes back. And then they have to do it again to make sure it's not a false negative or false positive. So you have to do it 2 steps. That is probably the hardest logistical challenge to navigate with our students. We support those testing, and we have, luckily now, Nationwide Children's Hospital is here right on our campus. And so that's been a huge lift and relief for us, because otherwise we were working with getting those done at the hospital level, which they supported. It's just if a kid misses, and then, you have to get it looked at by the 3rd day, and who can our nurse, give the approval for that. It looks fine. Lots of little different logistical challenges for, especially the TB test. Flu shots, we know, aren't, most people hopefully get the flu vaccinations, but again, there's a requirement with our hospital programs that require those vaccinations. Possible COVID vaccine, we had for a while that our, Ohio Health required COVID vaccines. That dropped in the last year. This past year, it just dropped at the beginning of 2023. So that was a barrier, but that's dropped. But sometimes, again, a lot of our students don't want to work around kind of those things, or knowing that they have to get a shot and so on. We have our own busing, our own transportation to and from worksite locations. And what I tell folks is that just by participating in transitions is what our students are learning. It's huge, because students in the morning, our students will get on a bus at home, or typically that's what we call closest public access. They get on a bus, they come here to our Fort Hays Career Center, they have breakfast with their peers. They then get on another bus to ride to their work site, work for 2 hours, then get on another bus to come back to Fort Hays, where they then get on another bus to go to their homeschool, which I say homeschool is, they're there half a day for their academic piece. We're here as a standalone. We're not a JVS where we combine the academic piece and career tech. They go to their own homeschool. So either their neighborhood school or another high school. So in the afternoon, it's the opposite. They come in from their homeschool. They land here at about 11:30. Then they have lunch with peers. They get on a bus to go to their work site, get on a bus at the end of the day to go to their work site, or come back from the work site, come here on campus, and then get on a bus to go home. And this campus, just so you know, I should have this memorized by now, but it's an acre camp. It's multiple acres of campus. This was an old Army base an operating Army base during the Civil War. So there are buildings that are original to the 1800s that have been redone, but imagine a campus. So our students are navigating not only transitions, but an independence piece that doesn't come along very often for those opportunities. And I want everyone to know we provide a lot of support in those beginning days. it's exhausting. We always know we're geared up because we're wearing our tennis shoes and we're chasing buses down. We're looking for students. We're making sure they get to the right place. I will have to say, I'm very proud. We've only, I will say misplaced. He wasn't lost, misplaced one student. And he went to one of our other career programs. It was our film and television program. And I mean, I did have to call the mom and say, your child, and it was his first day. And he walked because Fort Hays is a career center and high school. People come together both. And so some were going to the high school. There were lots of people going to different buildings. And he walked with a group of students and ended up in our film and television program. And the teacher was great. She knew, it was like, is this one of my students? A lot of folks will know. And I think this might be one for Miss Angel. So again, we found him. I promised that parent, we keep children safe. So only one time in my, truly in my, over 10 years of being a coordinator has that happened. So, but we're campus. So it's like being at a small university. People say that when they come here. So there's lots of different, opportunities for growth, not just for a work site setting, but also for, that independence piece and getting from one area to another, and that kind of thing. Students can have, again, because we do an AM and PM afternoon, like I said, we try to do all juniors stay in the morning and then we have seniors in the afternoon, but we try to keep that as best we can to fit homeschool schedules. But the great thing about these job training programs is because they're 1 year, they can really, if they are coming in and I have a spot in the afternoon, but they're a first year, that's going to be okay. If they're with second years, that is always okay too, because those second years can help support a first year student. So we do have first years that end up in the afternoon and first or second years that end up in the morning because they want to stay in the morning because it fits their homeschool schedule. A certain band or marching bands only offered, last period of the day and so on. We have one instructor and one instructional assistant in every program. So that's operating at a ratio of no more than 2 to 12. This comes into my other program basics, but we serve 8 to 12 students. So on average, there will be 100 students total enrollment. And you'll have about 92 in just our half-day programs. These are our half-day programs. And then I'll go very quickly through Project Search and another full-day program that our students, before they graduate or after they socially graduate, they have an opportunity to build upon those skills. And I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Project Search, but I do go into a little bit with that. We switched last year. I think last year, it was past year, 2023 to 2024. For students coming in this year, it was 100% lottery. So I say that to a lot of folks, and they're like, really? But again, I really feel our teams on the ground and our teams at the homeschool level and our transition coordinator staff do an amazing job of gatekeeping. And I don't say gatekeeping to keep kids out, but knowing who will be successful and setting them up for success. If they're going to need more supports, then, they come with more supports if needed, or they come to help with support. I will come and I'm assisting with the students that might have higher needs or going to have a little bit more difficult time, maybe doing the transition in the beginning. I try to meet with the student teams prior to the start of the year. We work with out-of-district partners. That's the way our career technical department works from eons ago. We reserve spots for outlying districts that don't have career technical opportunities within their district. So if anybody knows the Central Ohio area, Upper Arlington, Grandview, and Westerville City Schools. So we have students that come in from out of districts that are that we partner with. And so I will always, those groups, I'm always meeting with those out of district teams because those students and their transportation looks a lot different than an in-district student. I always provide the option for students to come or tour a work site just prior to the school starting, because we all know, especially our kiddos on the spectrum, if they came and they visited in March, and then they got the application and they came to the school for new student orientation. Oh, and now you start the first day of school. They don't know what to expect. So I will often have parents come to bring them here. I understand that need. I get it, because I get it from that parent and family and student perspective of what, makes them nervous and kind of what they need. It's approximately, I'd say probably more like an hour and 45 minutes of like true work skill, where they're really working or they're on the line helping. By the time the students, every day, 7:35 is our departure time in the morning. And then they will leave the site at 10 o'clock. By the time they put their book bags down, if they're putting on their scrub uniforms or they're putting on their aprons to go work, sometimes they're revisiting a challenge from the previous day. So sometimes it's, an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. And then on the flip side, 11:45, our buses will depart. And so they'll arrive about noon, and then they leave at about 2 o'clock. One of the things, as you see in these pictures, we found that for whatever reason this year, and maybe it was the lottery, I don't know, because I just find all of our students, even when there's really challenging behaviors, it's all about what's the need of the kid or what didn't they know or understand. All behavior to me is communication. So we work to figure what that is, what it is the needs are, and why that behavior was happening. But there was a lot of those soft skills that they didn't have that we kept having to revisit. And I was doing a lot of interventions and putting social stories together for appropriate work behavior this year. So we came up with the idea, and we only did one, but to have this job training conference, like, when you go to work sometimes and you're allowed, you have a big conference, and we really made it a big deal. And it was all the programs together. And it was like they came in and they came in as a person attending a conference, and I had the welcome desk, and they got their little goodie bags like you sometimes get. Take a bag, go to your seat. And we had food just like you would at a conference, coffee, juice, that kind of thing. And all those students, it just went really well. I mean, there were hiccups on the end of what I was teaching, or the, technology didn't work, but I was able to wing it. I've taught long enough that I can kind of wing some things, but they really loved it. And so what we decided for next year is we're going to do it at the beginning of the school year, and we're going to do it again. We're going to revisit it the second semester. And anyone doing kind of job training, it's just a really way to pull back the value of, because sometimes it's like our students learn best in a real world setting. I can say that. And number two, it was nice just to revisit that some of those soft skills that they don't necessarily get taught. It's just kind of it's embedded. But to have a day where we're really focusing on, and then we're going back to it, and I'm hearing their voices. Do they really understand it? And then is it generalizing? And it can also be a point of reference for the teachers when they are working with the kiddo. Like, do you remember what we learned in the conference? So it was really powerful. And I was very impressed that my administrator was like, and this was Project Search kind of does a similar model where they do workshop week, and they do it 3 times a year before they switch to their new rotations. And so it was my administrator really saying, hey, Project Search does like this workshop week. Maybe we should do something like that. That's all she said. And then we ran with it. And it was, the teachers loved it. And I think the students loved it. Their feedback was really great. Anytime we have anything going on in the programs, it's interventions before removal. I'm meeting with the teams. We're coming up with interventions. I'm writing social stories. We talk about what was wrong. And we had, for some reason this year, a lot of challenging behaviors with our students on the spectrum that were like hugging female workers, just going up and hugging. And so that issue with boundaries. And I would write these social stories. And because, again, our kiddos on the spectrum, they can be rule followers. Once we defined the boundary and we defined the structure and how they needed to operate, they really responded well to those interventions. Now, again, some interventions we're revisiting depending on the student, and we're revisiting and revisiting and revisiting, but we often work really hard with our school teams to, come up with those interventions. I rely heavily on our families. What is it that you see as making them successful at home? What can we be doing? The language used between us and the homeschool or the family is really important, that we're using the same language in terms of helping either get a behavior to stop or to, increase another behavior and so on. So that's really important. We really work to make sure that we're doing as good at interventions as we can when things come up, and they, believe me, they do come up. And we have a really good set of rubric assessments that, I'll just bring up one. I don't need to bore you with. This is how we, several years ago, I realized we needed to, like, hey, our students, we got to say more than they're doing great work, right? So we really work hard to define the work behaviors, and they all come from the job training, standards. And, we created this rubric system of how's their attendance? Are they attending? Do they practice teamwork? How's their work appearance? Do they need help with hygiene? Grooming, completing assigned tasks, constructive feedback. That's a really hard one for our kids. Initiative, that can be hard. Endurance is really, really hard for our kids. And I'll get into a little bit more about that. Social skills at the work site. Again, that going up and hugging people, or someone that they saw the day before. One of our students thought that meant he was his friend. And it's not that he's not a friend, but again, the circle of friends, he's an acquaintance, not necessarily a friend. You wouldn't go hug him. So we have to kind of reteach and go over those skills. Do they recognize authority, follow directions? Can they adapt to changes, and so on? So again, this is how we're evaluating throughout the quarter. Some of our teachers, they do a weekly, I think is really nice. They'll do a weekly eval, and they'll meet with each student at the end of each week to say, how do you think things went? And they kind of talk about any behaviors or any hiccups that they had. I'll just show you our semester rubric. It's a little bit longer. So we do, we cover in specific units, whether social, emotional intelligence, post-secondary career and prep, health, literacy, communication skills, so on. And just so you guys know my source, I don't think it's been updated. I should have checked, but it's all from our standards document from ODE. It's June 2011. I believe the last I heard that they were updating our pathway and coming up with some new standards. So, but again, this was a very instrumental document in helping. What are we looking at for our kids, and how are we assessing them? So we all know the benefits, again, that community partnership and outreach, really expanding our impact in the community, all those mentoring opportunities, the student learning in a real world setting. It's how our students learn best. I mean, they really do. We can teach them everything, but until they're actually with their hands and they're having to take orders and, repeat back to what an order might be, or to get the order slip and make the plate and, put it on the tray for a patient. Until they actually do that, it's just kind of, it's just empty. But when they finally do it and experience it, we really make big change. So I think that there's no more powerful area than, I think, our job training for students that may need that real world setting. They problem solve. I mean, there's problem solving every day. And work site safety. Again, we talk about safety every day. Again, how to stay safe, how to do all these different areas of what's needed on a work site. So, and how do you problem solve? Who do you go to when you need help? Communication and self-advocacy really gets, we talk about that all the time. And again, some of our students have difficulty. We have students that have limited language ability, or maybe more on the nonverbal side, or can communicate their certain needs, but not communicate in sentences. And that's fine. We figure that out, and we work with them to help make them successful and see what it is that they need to be successful for competitive employment later on. Again, peers and adults, that's huge. Student independence. There's no way a student, when our parents are really, when they realize that they're walking from the bus to here independently. And again, sometimes it doesn't start like that. We're watching, and we do fade. They get it, because again, it's the same routine. And once they get that routine, then they have it down. And so, but our parents would never expect, one, that they would want to encourage their child to be independent, walking from, they feel like they might get lost, but we show them and tell them, and they're just, it's amazing to them, and it's very eye-opening. A sense of belonging. We're a family. We really are a true family, our programs. And they really they just really, they meet everybody from different schools. Sometimes they see somebody from a middle school or an elementary school or a former work program, and they love that. And again, we're always, I feel, going to increase our improved post-secondary outcomes for students who participate in these programs. A little bit, again, Project Search. We have 2 programs in the district that serve students that need that a little bit more time. And that's where we see the endurance piece. And Project Search really beefs up that programming and what they get and what they receive, and then connects them to straight employment before they even leave us, which is huge. And then we have a sort of, we call it a small learning center for students. It's 8 students, and it's like a 5th-year program that might need more supports. It's 1 instructor with 2 instructional assistants, and they go to varied work sites every day, but they stay in one area and they're learning those skills at that work site. So we have, about 16 students or 16 spots for many more students that often need those full-day programs when they graduate. Our host business is at the Hilton at Easton. So again, our students even seeing that opportunity, going outside their community a little bit to work at the hotel, they love it. And the Hilton, I just have to say, it's not just the Hilton here, but the way they treat their employees is amazing, and what they offer our students. And they really, again, they appreciate our students and the impact that our students have at that site. And they are an amazing partner for us. And Hilton's, they really work to employ individuals with disabilities. So that's always, if I can stay at a Hilton, I'm going to stay at a Hilton. So program barriers and how we overcome those. Transportation, like I said, again, if a bus is late, you heard how many buses they get on, right? The shuttles. Then we're running into a situation where they don't get here in time, they miss the transfer, or if they're late in the morning. And so I am called the Angel Mobile or the Angel Chariot Mobile. That's, the kids all know me. Okay, pile in, and I'll take you to your work site. We do a lot of that running around in the first couple of weeks till our buses get situated. We all know there's shortage, right? So that is a huge barrier, but we get it. It's just sometimes they're late or they don't arrive, or there's a sub and they don't show up. And so that just puts us in a little bit of a bind. It always gets solved, but it's not a fun time. But I like to say, for our students, going through that experience with the support and not going through their day like they normally have it is huge, because we are there to support them. And so helping them overcome that anxiety or however it is that they're feeling, I just think is valuable experience. So every negative and positive to me is an okay outcome, because we're there to support the child. I would say for our hospital programs, the health assessment requirements are huge, and it's a big barrier. Hospital programs are just a little bit more intense in terms of, I volunteer at Children's Hospital, and I know I have to do every year my TB and flu shot, and I have to do it by a certain date, and I'm always like running at the last minute. And so that could be a little challenging, and some of our students don't like the shots, so that's hard. I wish we had more time working. If they're only getting an hour and a half each day, we see a lot of endurance challenges for students going from our programs to like a full day Project Search, where they get 2 hours a day working versus 4 hours a day. So they're going to that full day setting is really hard. And then when they go, even just, let's say they graduate and they go into a part-time competitive employment setting, they're exhausted, and we're like, welcome to adulting. But it can be challenging. So I would say just that endurance piece and wanting to create more time is a difficult thing. We run into things, sometimes it's tricky, school need versus community partnership need. We have a student that is battling, she comes quite frequently with lice. We can't have her go to the hospital setting with lice. We can't exclude her from school, right? So, which we would never want to. So it's having sometimes those difficult conversations about hygiene, about, what would happen if they were working and this happened. Bed bugs is a situation that we can encounter, and we can't prevent them from attending school, but we have at our work sites rules that especially Project Search, if they even hear that a student if there was a bed bug that came out of a bag or the student was on the student's person, they have to show proof that their house was taken care of. We don't do that for the other programs. That's a Project Search sort of our vendor issue that they cannot attend until they have proof of their house has been exterminated. We don't do that normally for the other programs, but so again, sometimes that need versus a school need versus the community wants can be challenging. Enrollment, that we just don't have enough. I mean, this year you saw I have 38 spots out of a total 70 applicants. Those were our new students. So that's a lot of students getting rejected. We at least increased. I mean, 44 out of 57 applicants. I was very happy, but again, that means more we're turning away. Project Search this year, we have 8 spots for 15 applicants. So sometimes we can work out additional spots with the other program, which is kind of what we try to do, because we hate turning students away, and there's a need obviously for them applying. Homeschool schedules. Sometimes homeschools are very rigid and they need it at a certain time. And so we have to follow that. Attendance behavior, we have to revisit sometimes behavior a lot, or you have an attendant, but that's just like any other, school challenge. The difference is that when I had a student that was upset and she was swearing at the hospital setting, and she walked into a room and then she looked at, the patient's father and said, "What are you looking at?" It's a much higher level, like, okay, come here, we got to revisit this. We're going to take some time, talk about the soft skills, what it means to work in a hospital setting where, there's patient needs and people are on edge, that, they had a child that was not doing well, or a young adult actually. And so again, it just gets a little more challenging. The behavior we at a school setting, we can handle differently, but when you're at a community site, it's like, oh, we have to figure out stuff right away. I've had a few emergencies in my day, but it's rare, but it does happen. Again, we need more, I think, job coaching and instructional assistance. I think training, job coaching is very different than instructional assisting. And some get it and some are better than others. Some instructional assistants have a lot of special education knowledge and others do not. And I just think and that's something we're working through as a district. So training for job coaches is, I feel like, a high need. Student family barriers as would be typical. And then I think one of the biggest barriers is our graduation requirements. I love how this looks for any of you all that are, getting students to graduate and understanding the credits. There's our credits, and then there's the competency, and then you have to graduate with the SEALs. Doing all that and beefing up our programs. Right now, we only offer work-based learning. So that's part of the supporting area and competency. So if they don't pass their OSTs, we don't do web exams. So they're going to have to do Ohio Means Jobs anyway. So we're working on trying to offer more opportunities for credentialing in our programs like 3M and so on. So again, it's a slower process, but we're trying to do what we can to beef up for our students so they graduate, because they're always like, is they getting a pre-apprenticeship? What's their credentialing? It's like, they're not getting any of that, but we want them to get that. So, but that's a huge barrier right now. And then what we often find is just that there's that transition cliff, right? So 4 years ago, before we got, we had to quickly pivot because of the pandemic, we applied for the Secondary Transition Enhancement Grant. And it really, if we could have just had more time with these kiddos, it was a 2-week postgraduate self-advocacy sort of boot camp. And we ended up we had to scale it back because we had to do it all virtual. And we knew that our students were virtualed out because that was, again, the beginning of the pandemic, right? And understanding Zooms and all of that. So we did it virtual. But if we ever get the opportunity, provided the students tools for success. And what we did with a lot of that money was, if you see there on the right, that Sister Cameron there, that was her book bag. And so at the end of the program, if you came every day, we delivered this bag that has everything that they, alarm watches for working, and alarm clocks and all of those things. We gave everyone a computer. So we were able to use that money and really buy and give students kind of that playing field, because technology, things that they don't normally have access to, we were helping to kind of hope that we kind of negated or reduced the barriers so they graduate and then what next. And I think if we just haven't done it again, but it was very successful. and the students really did like it. I would like to try to revisit it in person. And then that's really it. That was a lot of information, but I am a strong believer in sort of, if a student can't learn the way we teach, I work with the teachers that then we teach the way they learn, right? And if we revisit however they need to be successful. And a lot of my work with families is sort of in the in the healthcare setting is patient-centered care and, you know, child-centered care. And I kind of twisted that and gave it to the educational side. And you know, our best educational outcomes occur when we're equal with our families and collaborating between parents, guardians, educators, and staff, because so many times our families come and they are intimidated by schools, they're intimidated by the language of what teachers know. And I'm always like, you know your child more than I do. And you are a pivotal and important person here at the table. And we come together, not as I'm here and you're here. We're a partnership. And so I truly strongly believe, you know, we have our strongest educational outcomes when we're working together for the benefit of a student. So
Thank you. Thank
that was a
you. Thank you.
lot.
Yeah,
No problem.
that was. So we only have a few minutes left. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I certainly welcome any questions that you may have for Maria. If you want to ask them, please go ahead and unmute and do so. While you're doing that, what I'm going to do is put up our slides so that you can provide feedback from today's session. And also, if you want to get contact hours, you can also do that. So give me just a second. I'll put those up. And please go ahead and unmute if you have any questions.
Yes, please don't be shy. I know we just have a few people, and I think a few people might have left, but yeah. And thank you again, Matt, for I think that was you, for showing me how to do my volume so people can hear it.
No problem.
Yes, thank you, Matt.
I appreciate all the information. It was great. So thanks for
Oh, thank you.
doing
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is up there. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and ask. To the left is the feedback for this particular session. And if you need the certificate, it is to the right. And I'm going to leave that up there for just a moment. Thank you, Maria. I can't say enough.
You're welcome.
For those that have joined, I had the opportunity to visit the Grant location, and she didn't share about what I was most impressed with was the students who knew the proper tubing to take to the room. So not just delivering meals, some of the abilities that they had gained and the mentors in the actual facilities, taking them beyond some of the things that you even mentioned.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you see those faces and the gentlemen that work in the dock at Grant specifically. I mean, how those mentors are with our students, it's amazing. It's just, yeah, and how we celebrate them at the end of the year and how each work site celebrates our students. And the skills they learn. Thank you for bringing that up, because yeah, it's amazing what we do.
And for everyone, the Google site that got you here is also the site where you can find the other sessions that were offered in addition to previous dates. The recordings are there, so definitely go back and look. There's been some really good nuggets today and in previous sessions, and share it out. We have a lot of districts that are trying to do some great things, and if any of what we've shared today can be instrumental in making improvements for our students, I certainly applaud it and encourage it. All right. I'm going to stop the recording.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. Absolutely. Looking for another site visit.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. You just tell me when you're available and we'll make it work. And if you need me for any other additional presentations or anything that comes up, or you're doing conferences, please do not hesitate to, I'd love to present. So it's not a problem at all.
All right. Great. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.